This morning on ITV, bringing us to, of course, first discussion segment, which is basically aviation, and we are known for it every Monday morning with your number one aviation freak, Mr. Goddy Ike. And this time around, we shall be looking at what happened on Tuesday in Port Harcourt Airport. Remember, that airport was the very one that saw the Susulusu crash in 2005 before the eyes of the parents of some students of Loyola Jesuit College here in Abuja. And one said, why Port Harcourt Airport again? This time around, it's not so of course it's Dana Air. And well, there was no crash, but what happened could have led to crash, but for well, the pilot was a bit very, very professional. He was able to control the plane to a point whereby he overshoots the runway, and of course it was from there that the passengers disembarked. And it is still from Abuja, the plane carried passengers from Abuja to Port Harcourt. Well, to look at why this happened, what we can do to prevent it, what the airport needs to have, what regulators in aviation, of course, need to do to prevent this from happening, and of course, taking to a doorstep of the minister, Mr. Hadi Sirika, on what must be done to that particular airport to ensure that these things don't happen again. Your number one aviation freak, man by virtue of ICOA World Forum in Abuja 2017 was, of course, confirmed as an aviation expert. Mr. Goddy Ike, a very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
How are you
How
doing?
was the weekend?
Wonderful as always, Joe.
Yeah, and also learned it was a very busy one.
Yes, very busy.
Anambra State.
That's correct. Yes, I had a very painful loss of a very good friend who was here on Saturday. Of course, yesterday we headed back to keep a date with this wonderful money. That's it, yeah.
Okay, now with what happened on Tuesday, what do you make of it? Dana again. You know, that of 2012, well, it's still there. I know you did quite a whole lot of investigation, and you made that known to us, and the bubble burst, and the book will soon be out.
That's correct.
Same Dana again, in Port Harcourt Airport, overshooting the runway.
Joe, when you were giving the introductory note, you said where there was not a crash, the pilot controlled it into a bush and all. That was land crashing that they had. Anything that is an incident is an incident. But then we talk about fatalities. When you talk about aviation incident, anything that is out of normal is an incident. But then you want to ask, were there fatalities? Were there injuries? So that's where the difference lies. The point remains, Joe, that if we do not, I continue to say this something, I won't change from that. If we do not send a strong signal that our laws are meant to be obeyed, and that these laws have teeth, can bite, are willing to bite, and will always bite when they catch you. If that signal doesn't get across and get understood by people who, not just Nigerians, but people who live and operate in this country, no one is going to get serious, Joe. Here again, we have an airport where the runway is not lit, where instruments that should automatically give pilots the weather situation are not installed. And you have a situation where even when pilots suspect that, as they are doing their final approach, and stay within decision altitude. If I were one of those who are still flying around, I would never, the world is never, take the risk of continuing with my approach when I suspect the weather, especially when you know that those that should give you, or rather the equipment that should give you the appropriate information on board is not there to help you. Don't take any chance. Now, I can also imagine that with the surroundings showing that rain was falling, maybe some strong wind, coming from one direction or the other. Usually, those gentlemen and women in the control tower who are walking, like people walking with bare hands, because the equipment we are still having in place cannot be said to be, the best that we can have, and we can afford this equipment as a nation, Joe. So I can imagine that they must have warned those pilots that there's likelihood of having, hydroplaning, and they should be careful, or possibly
what usually cause runway overshoot?
Well, during the wet season, if the runway is not well built and it doesn't drain water away from the runway, what happens is that a certain volume of water settles on the runway, and on touchdown, the required displacement of water does not take place, and that denies traction and ability to brake, and ability to steer your airplane to the direction you want it. So what happens is that, Joe, take a look at the kind of thing I want to show you. As the tire makes contact with the runway, it kind of floats on top. That is what they call hydroplane. It floats on top, and then it's like a boat, and so no friction. And so even if when you apply your thrust reversers are not enough to put you to a stop. They are only assisting the mechanical brakes to stop the airplane. Yes, that's what all the thrust reversers do for you. But then, if you find a situation where traction is impossible because no friction, the tires are not making good contact with the ground, it's floating on water because of. It's a natural phenomenon because of water settling on the runway. That shouldn't be, by the way, Joe. It shouldn't be. Runways should be built in a way that you have a slightly elevated center with the other two sides flowing down this way into a drain. That's how an average runway should be. So at all times, no matter how much rain you receive, they get out of the way immediately. But if they settle and get to a certain volume, the likelihood is that on touchdown, the tires will push water until the tires stay on top of water rather than staying on the ground. So that's called a hydroplane. And in that situation, you are helpless.
Yeah, but
very helpless. You can do nothing. You can't stop the airplane until it makes contact with a dry ground.
Yeah, but in this particular case, when you look at the fact that 3 causes will be responsible for overshoot, you just mentioned one. The other is when, of course, there's an overspeeding.
Yeah, they are not just only about speeding. Sometimes, again, it depends on, I don't know what category of instrument landing system they have there. I taught this when we dealt with instrument land, and it was quite profuse and comprehensive that you should expect that the aviation sector should be doing something very quickly to correct some of the errors we have now. Now listen, Joe, as you're approaching and you are following your glide slope, what happens is, it will be understood better with our miniature in the studio. Now you are on the final approach and coming. Your slope is right there, and you have one on board that you are taking a look at. If for any reason you are below the slope, either that the weather or wind, push you to sink below the slope, what the pilot does quickly is to add power and move up a little bit again and keep the slope, because that slope terminates you at the threshold of the runway, which is where you have those white lines, at the beginning of the runway. But if by any chance again you find yourself above the slope, what it means is that you're going to be overshooting the threshold. You probably will be touching down at the middle of the runway, and the remaining part of the runway won't be enough for you to apply your thrust reversals and your mechanical brakes and stop the airplane before the end of the runway. So whatever is the situation, it is expected that if a pilot is coming in and the weather situation has made it impossible for you to keep to the slope and get down to the threshold to land, before you get below your decision altitude, once you are still within your decision altitude and you're experiencing this difficulty, Joe, one chance is safe for everyone, and that is calling for a missed approach. You announce to the control tower that you're not continuing with this landing. Pull on your power, pull on your stick, and off you go, back in the air and back away, and go and make a turn around and try again. But sometimes you have some daredevil pilots who knowing fully well that they made a mistake, they're carrying human lives, and for some strange reasons, they continue to go in, they must land. And more often than not, they create this kind of situation we have on our hands, which was what happened to Sosoliso 1145, that slaughtered, about 60 students of Loyola Jesuit and a lot of other very important Nigerians and foreigners alike. We just don't we're going to go on this way, Joe. I mean, specifically now talking about Dana, I will call on NCAA to carry out an immediate audit. That's my call. If anyone there is listening, Goddy Ike, the aviation freak of Nigeria, I am saying, start an audit today, not tomorrow, of Dana Air. And if we find that Dana Air is not worthy of being in the skies of Nigeria, please get them away from our skies. We won't.
But we also know that the airport too can, share some of the blame. If there's rainfall, it's a phenomenon you can't stop. Planes all over the world land even in very terrible heavy rain. Did they land without overshooting the runway? What is happening in the Port Harcourt?
It's clear the runway is not in the best state that it should be. It's absolutely clear. I've described to you what a normal, well-built runway should be. That's right. So at all times, as water drops, they go away. And but you have a runway that appears to retain water. And that's why hydroplane, would take place.
So that means the minister has a lot of explanation to give to Nigeria.
I think so. In this particular case, our dear good friend and amiable minister has got an answer, or rather some questions to answer. Why Port Harcourt Airport is still in that mess? And have you been to the arrival halls and the departure halls of, it's an eyesore. Port Harcourt Airport should actually be closed down and rebuilt. It should be closed down and rebuilt. Very honestly. It's a mess, big mess. I told you a story the other time when we were on air about some individuals who came from the US to give free medical attention to Nigerians of Imo State origin. They were headed for Imo State where they were invited to give free medical services and came with a whole lot of boxes filled with drugs that they were to be shared free of charge, and then they landed Port Harcourt at about 6:30 p.m. and never got to their hotel rooms until about 2 p.m. 2 a.m. Sorry, until about 2 a.m. Never got to their hotel room.
That's almost 8 hours later.
That's right. Or because some form of corrupt tendency or the other was going on there, and what was more, this the particular one I made contact with, a medical doctor who told me this story one-on-one in Imo State, said that they were sweating profusely. The whole place was messy and was, stuffy, and it was inhuman. So, Port Harcourt Airport is doing
not conducive.
No, it was busy. That airport is doing a whole lot of damage to the image of this nation. It should be closed down immediately and rebuilt. Or, call it renovated and upgraded. It's a major city. It's an oily city, for goodness sake, and a lot of foreigners go in there, to do business. And if you ask me, an airport that should be in its best position in this country, it should be Port Harcourt Airport. They receive a lot of foreigners, a whole lot of them.
Yeah, but even as they wait for federal government to, pick up some of the bills, the state can also play its part.
Well, the state can very nicely say to you that it's a federal government property, it's a federal government asset, and they're going to accuse you of interference. And mind you, in politics, you've got to be very careful. If you were an APC government that was in place, since APC is in the center, let's be honest, I don't play politics on air, and I'm not interested. I say it the way it is, and I want to see a lovely Nigeria. I've had an early opportunity in life to tour around this entire globe, and it's a privilege and an opportunity, and I don't take it for granted. But when I think about why we can't get it right here, it runs me mad. It does. We can do it, but we've just chosen not to do what's right. And that's very sad, Joe. Port Harcourt Airport should be in its best, because it's the image of this nation. Just like we supported that we should have a national airline in order to be the pride of this nation called Nigeria. We supported it. I know a whole lot of people there say, oh, they don't want to hear about it anymore because they were so thoroughly disappointed by what happened to Nigeria Airways. I did work on Nigeria Airways. And if you're listening to me, go to www.aviationfreak.com. Scroll up to link to YouTube and type in Nigeria Airways. And you see the complete story of the rise and fall of Nigeria Airways. It's there. Okay. Now you have all you need. Display for you on screen.
Yeah, you can just
copy them very quickly. Go up there, check things out for yourself and see what went wrong. And everything that went wrong can be corrected. And then government can sit up and ensure that people do not break laws in this nation. If you break laws, you get reined in and put away.
But in this particular one, Dana overshooting the runway.
Yes.
Of course, there are so many causes, but in this particular one, none has been determined because we have to see the findings of NCAA or authorities responsible.
Yes, the AIB, Accident Investigation Bureau.
Yeah, but as we speak, what we saw, the pictures we saw, is that the plane, of course, headed into the bushy areas around the airport. Now, one would just ask, yes, we know we need to have a runway, but aside the marked runway, are we not supposed to have
a buffer?
Sure.
Yes, Joe.
Yes, why don't we have that?
When we did instrument landing system, remember it was one of the, not instrument landing system, aviation safety. Remember that? When we did, and viewers, you can also look for aviation safety on air. We have over 56 videos of 30 minutes each for you. Go educate yourself and teach yourself things you need to know about the aviation. Now, Joe, it's all about attitude. Attitude. And I explained what is wrong with an average young Nigerian out there and who eventually grows into an adult. Joe, yes, I will describe a very personal thing right now so you see how the average Nigerian behaves. And why we need to have some training and retraining, going on. Joe, I was in a hotel where we went for this burial, and I knew I was going to leave that hotel at 6:30 a.m. yesterday. I made a booking at about 10 p.m. with the restaurant where a young man took orders and said, listen, please, I'd like to have breakfast at 6:30 a.m. Because I would like to drive right on the dot of 7 out of the premises of the hotel. And he said, okay, sir, you'll be done, be sure of that. And I dropped the phone. Joe, at 6 a.m., I picked up my phone. That's the hotel intercom. Called the restaurant once again as a reminder. The same young man picked up the call and I said, you remember I would need to have breakfast at 6:30 so that I would just leave here by 7. He said, yes sir, I remember, it will be done, sir. And I dropped the phone. Joe, I waited until a quarter to 8 a.m. No breakfast came. I decided to pack and go away without a breakfast. Came downstairs to reception and reported that this was my experience. Oh, sorry, sir. We've been calling all rooms. The young man said he forgot the room number. Oh, sorry, sir. We've been calling all rooms, hoping that we'll chance into the particular room that placed that order. And the young man said he forgot. Joe, if I had a whip, I would have asked them to bring that young man out to get some 80 lashes on his back. We have a bunch of young people that have been messed up by the system. It's a system that is messed up. We've got to engage in human development. Spend more money on human development. We are just not behaving well. If you employ a Nigerian and say to him, I am not condemning Nigeria, but I am trying to help so that we can change. You say to him, your business is to keep this miniature this way all the time because this is where we want it to be. That's your job. At the end of every month, you get paid for making sure that this stays this way because there's a reason we want it this way. Now, the young man watches this for the next 2 weeks that he didn't move. He's supposed to be staying somewhere and keeping an eye on it. That's his job. After 2 weeks, he walks away and says, that thing not the move, Joe. The thing is always there. Did you hear my language? That thing not the move, Joe. The thing is always there. The very day he keeps away from his duty post, the thing moves and creates the damage we don't want. That is the attitude that we must put an end to. We don't keep routines. We are not serious at our job. You go to places to receive services, you find young people, you stand in front of them, then they're busy making phone call, ignoring the fact that you're standing there. Receptionists who should throw away that phone and attend to you immediately and then find time later on to chat with their friends. But no, they don't care. They just, that's the way you tell me that day.
Well, all of that.
Yeah. How can we go this way?
And like you said, what we need.
And it's happening in high places as well.
What we need in this country.
Because children grow into adulthood with the same habit and attitude.
That needs to be changed, and of course, the way out is what we talked about: development in the human capital. I'm sure that if as it concerns the federal Ministry of Aviation, if you need someone that will do that for your staff, I'm sure Goddy Ike will be more than glad to, do some human development training for virtually everyone that cares to do so. But that is one of the things we need for the country to really move. We've seen terrible situations whereby people abandon their duty post, and what we get is terrible, damages caused by that negligence of duty. That really needs to be changed. Well, the discussion has been with your number one aviation freak, Mr. Goddy Ike, and we have just assuaged the Dana Air Mishap that happened in Port Airport Tuesday last week. And we just hope that when that report is finally brought, we shall be here again to analyze the content of
and the call remains, apart from auditing Dana, I think all airlines operating in Nigeria should be audited thoroughly. And I will recommend Minister Hadi Sirika, I beg you in God's name, if necessary, import some foreign experts to join in the audit so that you be sure there's no compromise. Anyone found wanting should be put aside, put away immediately. We can't afford another slaughter of innocent citizens.
Okay, the much we have on this discussion segment. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we shall be looking at the kidnap of 110 girls from Government Girls College in Yobe State. Mr. Imazwike will be on to look at that. Take a quick break now.
The parliamentary intra-party opposition to the APC.
Well, the intrigues and interest in parliament.